Yeah, let's do that.
Then you can, I save it to the.
That's what I should.
And I.
I should cut
It
that quick.
There.
Yeah. And you gotta sit right here.
And I'm like, I wanna run. before you open. Yeah. that's
Yeah.
fine.
We'll keep it old.
Worry. Oh, brother. Let's.
Oh, yeah.
There's a nice.
He's right.
Where?
Wait. Oh, wait there. Stop together. There. On.
Okay.
No, that. Oh, no.
Deb.
Very good.
Oh, which it'd be administration. No.
I like those.
Oh, did it go there?
For pheasant hunt, it was.
Yeah.
It's looking fun.
He wants to find the link, he wants to find our packet. And it says it at the bottom of which one. Yeah. Yeah, there's.
Could be a-
Okay, and then
Oh,
right here.
it's started. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that's the bottom. I know. it's
Got it.
somewhere, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sorry. I think that's somewhere. It was at the bottom.
Usually that shows up, like on mine, it shows up in the middle. But
Yeah.
for some reason, maybe on a tablet like that, it shows up at the bottom instead.
Otherwise, we got nothing else, right? I mean, this is. Good. I gotta go to Woodbury.
Today,
Wife's got.
Good morning, Reese.
I gotta go to Blaine.
Did it bring it up, Roger?
Just checking them out.
Woodbury is?
No, it didn't. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Well, there's a nice little one with the whole page and.
Yeah, why is it?
Not-
It should have the packet right here.
Yeah, it's not.
Mark, right there.
No,
I don't know where you guys are.
I don't know either.
How's Roger doing?
I'm doing good. There it is. That's the one I'm looking for.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Your center, one face here, got it back, one foot away. 1, 2 faces.
East of St. Paul, so it's on 94, if you leave St. Paul.
I know it is. All right, I do have 10 o'clock. We will call the meeting to order. I do want to just make a quick note. We do have Commissioner Waldham is joining us via interactive technology. His location is shown and open to the public. With that, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, again, thank you everybody for showing up today. We'll move on to public forum and I do see Denise, you want to come up? I think you're the only public.
Okay. I'm Denise Weiss, Royalton Township. Everybody always knows why I'm here, but have you ever seen the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield? It's a hilarious 1990s comedy. Josh, you might be a little young,
No, I remember it.
but in there, Rodney takes a business course. And in this business course, the professor says, you need to make a fictitious business. And he tells the class, you need to account for cost of labor, materials, and so forth. And Rodney, in the mezzanine, says that is not all you have to account for. First, you have to grease the politicians. Then you have to do the zoning and the ordinance. Next comes, he says, he doesn't know what it's going to cost you for the inspection, because they always find something wrong. Now, this is a funny movie until you kind of start to look at what it's done with what we've been dealing with the cannabis. Minnesota put out really good recommendations for where these should go in locations. The first draft that the subcommittee for planning and zoning for Pine County came back doable for residents and for the business. It was rejected by this main committee and sent back. In between times, the subcommittee went on 2 field trips to the drug houses. And that's what they are. It's drugs. I don't care what name you want to call it. It comes back and we are not protected as residents the same way. And that is unfair because they didn't follow what the state guidelines were. They haven't followed what the Minnesota Association of Counties recommended, or the AMC. Now, Josh, on January 7th, you mentioned how when you went to the AMC, they put a big pile of money on the table and they said, you know, you can't take bribes. Bribes come in many fashions and many things can fit in that bag besides money. Now, I'm hoping that you guys get a chance to relook at that draft to really protect the residents because that's who you serve. I believe the subcommittee that went on those field trips, unless they were documented and authorized, they need to be fired. We can't fire them as people because they're not voted on. They're appointed by you guys, the commissioners. So as I used to tell my kids, I raised 5 kids and 2 foreign exchange students. I was not their laundress. They had to do their own laundry. And I used to tell them, if it looks dirty and it smells dirty, it's dirty and it needs to be washed. You need to look at a few things. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, is there anybody else from the public that would like to talk during public forum? Nobody online? All right. Sounds good. We'll move on to the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, if on commissioner updates, if we could add an update on the hazard mitigation plan meeting from February 27th, Commissioner Ludwig will have an update for that. And then you also have some additional information for the AMC legislative update, and it's the sheet that says state leave mandate summary 2025.
I'll move as amended.
I'll second.
Second.
All right, we got motion by Ludwig, second by Holland. Is there any discussion? Otherwise, we'll do a roll call.
Mr. Ludwig,
Aye.
Mr. Holland.
Yes.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, approve the minutes of the February 18th, 2025 regular board meeting and summary for publication.
Move to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
motion by Nelson, second by Holland. Any discussion? Hearing none. Go ahead.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, it looks like there's no committee correspondence minutes. So we'll move on to G, the consent agenda. All right, Holland moved the consent agenda. Do we have a second? Nelson? All right. Roger Nelson seconds. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? All right, hearing none. Go ahead, Deb.
Chair Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now for the fun part, huh? Regular agenda. Kelly, are you gonna go?
Yes. You want to stay sitting or you want to come stand here so we can all see you, Pam? No, Kelly Schroeder, County Auditor, no, Auditor Treasurer. So I have today Pam Lawrence here, and she is retiring from Pine County next Friday. Pam started working for Pine County on March 14th, 1994, and she'll retire on March 14th, 2025, exactly 31 years apart. While Pam's entire career was in the same office, very little else is still the same. There's a few coworkers that are the same. And really the only other thing that I can think of as thinking back on what else would be the same since 1997 would be our payroll system. But most else, including fashion, is very different, which I think we can all be thankful we are no longer wearing crushed velvet. Pam began her career working at the old courthouse in downtown Pine City under an elected county auditor. Then the county offices were moved to this building, which for some was a very welcomed move and upgrade, while others really missed the old building. Later, the offices of auditor and treasurer were also combined. Yet through those major changes, Pam was the steady presence. Pam has continued being that steady presence even in recent years when we changed property tax system and had to learn new ways to do all the work related to property tax that had been the same since 1989. Or the little changes I've recently thrown at her, which mostly only impacted her, such as an electronic invoice submission system and processing all receipts electronically. She humored me and learned the new ways without complaint. Pam's steady presence has also showed in many other areas, such as elections. No matter how long the line of absentee voters was, while some of us may get a little frazzled, Pam continued her methodical pace. While we will definitely miss Pam, we know that her dogs at home, Tasha and Gomer, will really appreciate her being home and able to let them out whenever they wish. So thank you, Pam.
Great. Well, we do have a clock for you. So
And she paid the bill for that clock was the funny thing. You gotta go over there, Pam.
You gotta go by the microphone, Josh, if you're gonna speak.
So here's the clock for Pam for her 31 years of service. So I just want to say thank you. In 1994, I'd have been 8th grade. So
Thanks.
I do remember some of the stuff. So, but yeah, no, thank you so much for your service to Pine
Well,
County.
thank you, Pine County, for the opportunity to serve you and be a part of this for the last 30 years.
Sounds good. Perfect. Well, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
All right, so we will move on to meeting with Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. Consider discussion topics and a meeting with the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe as part of our regular meeting on April 15th. So this was more, I think David just wanted to get it on there to see what you guys thought about some discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I think the main purpose today is to just solicit some feedback if there are particular topics that you want to discuss. And in commissioner updates, we do have a Mille Lacs Band meeting update, so I don't know if Commissioner Moore or Hal, or you, Commissioner Moore, I think you missed that one, but Commissioner Hallen, you were there. Maybe that is a way to tee up the conversation.
Thank you, David. And at our meeting, kind of had the realization, you know, things change on the board. We've got new board members since we started this process of meeting with the band, and the band has a new chief executive officer as of a year ago. So maybe we should kind of reorganize and bring everybody up to speed of what the band's doing, what we're doing, what things that we've been working on, and what's kind of working and what's maybe still needs some work. And so we thought maybe we should get the whole board together at a committee of the whole and try to get some of their elected officials and their appointed officials together and have a chat. It's nothing earth shattering, but I think, you know, we've both recognized housing as a thing that we should continually work on, and we've both made some great strides in the past few years on that. Economic development has been a focus of ours and a focus of theirs. And so,
We could review our law enforcement agreement for
Yeah.
people too that don't know how that works.
yeah, okay. Be good. Any,
Yeah. I think, this will be good. We haven't done this in, can you remember the last
Long
time?
time.
Yeah, or can you remember? I
I
don't,
don't remember.
I mean, I remember the time we went up to Lake Lena, that was,
Yeah, and that was actually for some broadband stuff, you know, it was there, but it was an alternative
yeah.
purpose. Probably the last time we brought something to the whole board was when we signed the memorandum of understanding with the tribes
Yeah. And when was that? That was
several years ago.
a long time ago. That was,
Eight
I
years,
remember it
8
was
years.
probably around there. So, yeah, and I don't know if we've ever really facilitated a discussion about other stuff. So, yeah, so you guys just think if you want something on the agenda, reach out to David. And we'll put a placeholder there. Otherwise, hopefully everybody can make it. Start thinking about what you want to discuss there. And hopefully we get some members on their side that show up. That'd be good. So.
Yeah. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there anything with HS, Health and Human Services, that has changed there?
Well, you know, they have been working towards
Yeah.
being an initiative tribe.
Yeah.
And they've actually formally, would you call it withdrawn, David? Their initiative for that for now.
Okay.
They just realize they don't have the resource, you know, the staffing that it would take.
So, Mr. Chair, if I'm understanding, I will follow up with Sheena and let her know that some of the topics we're interested in are economic development, priorities of the new chief executive, legislative issues, and the law enforcement agreement. And then I will also circulate a copy of the joint statement of principles that we approved back probably about 2012, I think that was, just to be sure it's fresh in all commissioners' minds.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So I thought I read somewhere that the proposal was at our regular April 15th meeting that we would then schedule this at 1 p.m.
Yep.
Is that correct? So would we be adjourning or recessing our meeting?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Nelson, I would see that as a recess,
Okay.
that we do the regular business, recess for lunch, and then come back at 1 p.m. To meet with the band.
Okay. That's fine.
And with them, it's mostly, they were gonna be in person, or is that just up in?
I Yeah.
think they're gonna try to be in person. I don't know if they'll all be in person.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, yeah, I missed that meeting. One of my other ones ran long, so thanks for covering that, Steve. But, okay, so, yeah, so everybody just, if you got any topics that you wanna talk about, just, reach out to David and we'll see you all on that day. Okay, moving into number 3, 2025 Aquatic Invasive Species Program.
Thanks, Commissioner Moore. I'm David Banta, Land and Resources Manager for Pine County and also the Aquatic Invasive Species Director. So we have we have received 7 applicants for grant money. And Big Pine Lake Association, $581. I summarized the total amounts here. Cross Lake Association, $32,300. Pokegama Lakes Association, $22,400. Wild Rivers Conservancy, $16,915. Windermere Lakes Association, $60,000. Also, How Well Do You Know campaign, $2,000. And the Mississippi Headwaters Board, $2,000. We have also included 5 watercraft inspectors at $38,506. And the AIS coordinator, myself, a portion of my salary at $28,546. So our total amount for our grant application this year is $197,348. For comparison, last year, our amount was $220,000, and of that, we spent $173,000. So we accepted all of the grant applications that we got, and we just accepted the recommendation of the different lakes associations.
How is that pot of money doing? I know we got quite a bit more than what we were spending for a while, but, Kelly, looks like Kelly's coming up. She
He wants to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. And if you, yes, so I mean, the pot of money is still there. So overall, we have a total using 2025 revenue plan. We have a $209,000 available for the 2025 plan.
Are we spending, I know, I think the last couple of years we've been spending more than we were getting. Are
Right,
we
we
still
get,
on
we
that?
get about 118,000 a year.
Okay, and that's pretty static?
Right.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if that moved up or down. Okay,
Nope, it's kind of very static.
okay, all right. Sounds good. Perfect. You guys got any questions? Or were you done?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. So we do need to adopt that resolution. It looks like 2025-09. Someone wants to make that motion.
I'll move that.
Okay. Got a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, Nelson, I think he beat you. Nelson seconds. Okay, is there any other discussion on the 2025 Aquatic Invasive Species Program? Okay, hearing none, go ahead, Deb.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waldham,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Chair Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to commissioner updates, we'll do Highway 23 Coalition. You can see who's on that.
That'd be me. I got nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
Nothing. Yep.
All right, so Arrowhead Counties Association,
I didn't make it.
all right. Joint Ditch 6 Drainage Authority meeting, I did make it, that's why I missed the Mille Lacs Band meeting. We talked about, so there's two drainage ditches that kind of overlap. It's ditch 1 and ditch 6, and Kanabec County, Pine County, and Isani County are involved with ditch 1 or ditch 6. And then Isani and Kanabec County are involved with ditch 1. The problem they have is right in Bram, both ditches overlap. And these determinations were made, I think for ditch 1, it was made in the early 1900s, like 1906 or somewhere right in there. And the other one was made in the 40s. So they're talking about doing a redetermination to get these two ditches separated is kind of the key, and then get a redetermination of benefits to the landowners that with a little bit more modern technology to figure out where exactly the ditch is and who benefits. So who would get assessed? The issues with it is there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the ditches. There has been nothing done for a long time, and it seems like Bram is really paying the price for a lot of it, cause they got a lot of water backup, and it's just not draining real well, as you can imagine, after 100 years of nothing done. So they're just trying to get it straightened out, and they got a public hearing coming up. Do you remember when that was? Next month. It's first part of April, in Bram, to talk to the public about what the plan is there on ditch 6. So I know there was some communication going out, so if anybody has any property in that area, and or wants to learn more about ditches, feel free to show up.
So that, Mr. Chair,
Yep.
that ditch 6 is the one that concerns Pine County.
Yep.
And that starts in Pine County and flows into.
It goes north actually there.
Oh,
Yeah, so it starts
it starts
like
in
right around in Bram there, and I don't remember if it's Isani or Connecticut County.
Where does it terminate then? Snake?
Hay Creek.
Acre?
So then it goes into Hay Creek. So it isn't even a lot of Pine County.
No, it just makes a little U.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then Hay Creek goes into Lower St. Croix, is that
Yeah.
where it goes, or to Rock,
Upper.
or Upper St. Croix, yeah, okay. Yeah, so there ain't a whole lot, but the problem is it, like in that area where there's overlap, if you own property in there, if something's done in ditch 1, you pay, and if it's done in ditch 6. So the key is, so there's a lot of people are getting kind of hit on both sides. Now, nothing's been done yet, and that's, they want to get this straightened out before they do anything, because there should be a clear line. I mean, like they said, it was done a long time ago before we had the technology we have now. And where it flows north, more than likely is gonna be all ditch 6, and where it flows south is gonna be mostly all ditch 1.
Are people worried about the assessments that's gonna be attached to it, or?
Yeah, there is a little of that, but the biggest key is just getting them separated so the assessments go to the right place. Also on the assessments, they're pretty narrow, almost just the ones attached to the ditch. So it is gonna open up the watershed a little bit more, if you say, so it'll hit some more property owners and hopefully keep the cost down.
Are there farmers that are losing some land that they could till if the ditch isn't working right?
Yeah. On our ditch 6, there was a couple landowners that had like a road across the ditch with a culvert. Well, there's beaver, there's that kind of stuff that dammed it up. Well, now they've had to remove their road access, so now they can't access the other side. They're working on some alternatives to get to that side, but there is a lot of work that needs to be done in it, and that's all pretty low ground. I can't remember. He did say too, from the one end to the other, I can't remember how many, it was like 7 miles. They have like a 12-foot drop or something like that over 7 miles. So it's really, really flat area. So it is really crucial to have, have it
Like, it's like
figured
the
out.
ditch out past me,
Yeah.
1 foot per foot,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
pretty flat.
So it needs some work, and they're talking about some holding ponds right in Bram. It'll be good once it's done. It's just, I don't know, this redetermination takes 9 to 12 months just to get that done. So it's a little ways away before anything's done. And they're talking about, the south one crosses, MnDOT's doing a big project on 107, or is it 107? No, 65, that must be. So there's, I think, like they said, 3 or 4 crossings there. There's one pipe that's over 300 feet long, so they're already working on them. And they're hoping if they can get this done, I think the construction season's not this summer, but the next summer, then they'll be able to get all that straightened out. Cause they're like, we might as well do it in conjunction to get it figured out, So yeah, it was interesting. Dave looked up March 22nd.
March 2nd,
March.
6 PM.
Must be April.
April
We're past
2nd?
March.
Oh.
Yeah.
April.
Yeah, I thought it was in April, but yeah, that sounds about right. They shot for a date in March, but it got
Where will it be?
Bram
Bram
event.
Community Center.
Yeah. Okay, any questions on ditch 6? Otherwise, Mille Lacs Band.
I think we covered that already. So
Law library, that was the other meeting I had that day, and I did make it to that one. We were having some technical difficulties with, our chair getting on there. Some internet stuff, I think, which was very fitting. But one of the biggest things we talked about is, our, there, for the law library, they use a free Zoom type deal. Well, it's limited to 45 minutes, and it took 30 minutes for the meeting to get started. So by the time the meeting got started, we were almost out of time. So Bonnie was gonna get a hold of, Ryan about maybe if the county had or if we can purchase a subscription, and or Judge Martin had said maybe she could do it, but she's not always, because through the state, she's got a, interactive technology, license, but we're probably just gonna have to buy one, and, it's a couple $100, and then we can do our business. So that was the big thing. Unless, Reese, did you have anything to add to that? I think that was.
No, I think I had a nice discussion about the lack of broadband, so that was.
Yes, we had a lot of discussion about broadband. Well, we were waiting for one of the members to get hooked up via broadband. So, Snake River Watershed Plan Partnership made it to that. I was elected the chair to that, which I've been away for 4 years, and which I wasn't part of the One Watershed, One Plan before, just on the very, very beginning side of it. So, they got a lot of stuff going on. We talked about, making some projects they got coming. They're real early into some of their projects, so it's a little slow now, but we're anticipating this summer and the next summer, it should get pretty hot and heavy and get some stuff going. So, and then as we go forward under this new system, it should go pretty smooth. So,
Mr. Chair, how does the ditch work into the One Watershed, One Plan?
there was a little discussion on that, but I don't think it's in this watershed. I think it's in Upper St. Croix.
Oh,
So, but it was,
Well, probably one is and one isn't.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. It was some of our discussion in One Watershed, One Plan, but it was very clear from Bowser that ditch is ditch. Ditch law is ditch law, is not
That's what I was-
watershed.
right.
So,
But it ends up in the water.
yeah, yeah, but there's a whole nother, legislation on ditch law that
Yeah.
I don't think they cross, but, they were gonna check into it a little bit and see, how that all works, but we'll see. All right, East Central Regional Development Commission.
Yeah, they don't provide a Zoom option, so I didn't attend.
Okay. NLX.
NLX, they talked a little bit about the legislative update of the anti-rail hearings, they called them. And they also referred to them as anti-bills that are coming and how to respond to them. They talked about North Star Rail funding possibly getting shut down. One of the members of NLX actually were late because they said there was a car accident on the way down. And they said if there was light rail, there wouldn't have been a car accident. I don't know what that means. They're really watching the quote red state items. Bob Manzoline had commented that there's in reference to everything that's been going on in air travel, that there's no mid-air collisions on rail. Under new business, there's a budget amendment, the DGA given $50,000 to the NLX. That's all I got.
I did read about the North Star ridership was way, way down, and they must have talked a little bit about that, possibly shutting that line down, or I don't know, but.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Housing Redevelopment Authority and Economic Development Authority.
Yep, I went to that meeting. So the Sandstone and Finlayson Manors are full. No, Phillipson has one opening, sorry, but it's gonna be full. There's 2 applications, so. And then the North Court is full and doing well. The rest of that was standard reporting on paying bills and with those 2 or 3 buildings now, but the group went forward with purchasing 302 Fire Monument Road in Hinckley. Would be the old Realtor building there, Sue Van Gordon, I think has that. Anyway, they're gonna negotiate, and Dave you weren't there, but you were assigned to work with Leslie to work that, they're gonna purchase that or try to. And that's gonna be the daycare center in Hinckley, because the other daycare center that they were planning through the tribal, that kind of paused or fell apart, and the need for daycare there, so they're gonna grab that. That's the whole, so hopefully that happens. They have the funding to do that. And let's see. The other thing is on April 10th, Leslie was saying there's gonna be a rural business success workshop here at the courthouse at 2 p.m. So if somebody's interested in attending, or somebody who is, you can mention that to people. And that was the basic meeting.
All right. Northern Counties Coalition Legislative Dinner. Me and Roger did make it to that. I brought him there, but I didn't bring him back, so he had to hitchhike on his way back, so. But it was a good, they gave us some information. I was just trying to think, and Roger, hopefully you can help me out, but the one was mental health they were talking about, right? There's some stuff coming down, and they talk about all the mental health problems we have in the jail. And the jail is no place for these people to be. They need to be in a hospital that can deal with mental health. The corrections officers are not mental health workers. They're not, it's just not a great place for these people to be. So they're working on the state to try to provide some beds. And I think it was like around 350. They figured in the state if they could figure out some of these that we could send these people to. So that was a lot of the advocacy that was going on there. I'll let you go.
Sure. Well, I will say that there was about 60 people plus in attendance there. It may be might have even been a hair more than that. And there was about 10 to 12 legislators there, between representatives and senators. Nice. So that was great to see that many representatives and senators there interspersed with us. We did get to sit next to Representative Nelson, and we got his ear for that time that we were together. So that was great. They did have I say a pretty active program. They had it going the whole time. They were talking about landfill permitting. Now that's not an issue for us per se, but it's a big issue for some of these counties to the north of us, dealing with all that. The other issue that is a priority is the PILT in shorelands. And so that was a big issue. They did a pretty comprehensive study on that, and how that legislative effect would actually up the PILT lands. Although and they had it was pretty much throughout the whole state, but there were some counties that weren't included in that study, of which Pine was one of them. But it was because it seemed to be what they said was a coding issue. Because they had some of these counties where they're at now and where they will be at. So it was a significant, if those things are identified. So that was good to hear that they're working on that. So it was, all in all, I thought it was good. And of course, this is our first go around with northern counties. And so I would say, I'm probably not the person because I don't have anything to compare it to. except going way back. But I thought it was pretty productive. And if you look at their schedule, these northern counties, they try to combine it with either an AMC meeting or something else, so we're not trying to duplicate all of our time.
No.
So it was good for that, and looking at their schedule, they only meet every other month. So there's a couple meetings this spring and summer in Grand Rapids. That's their look, and they do have you can do a remote access, but it seems to be, I would say, a worthwhile, because we're in the whole experimental, no cost for us this year, but it is 2,000 if you're going to join. And they had a few other counties that they're considering joining. So they're building a little steam. You know, of course, we don't want it to get too big, then what's the point?
Right.
But all in all, I thought it was good.
Are most of the counties also in Arrowhead?
It's bigger than Arrowhead, and because you go a lot to the west, and Arrowhead
County?
is straight north, whereas they're part of it. I think most of them are, but you're not. How do I say this? You're not overshadowed by one or two big counties in northern counties. You have a lot of small counties like us.
Did they talk, when they talked about landfill, did they talk anything about incineration?
No, because that would maybe be more in the in-depth conversation. They did not have an in-depth presentation about this, but they said it's one of their, I think, 3 or 4 priorities.
Is that the Pilt you're talking about?
No,
Which one?
the landfill,
Oh, the landfill.
the landfill permitting. So
I know some of those counties, you know, they're hauling their garbage to Winter, North Dakota. I mean, I think Itasca County does not have a land. They're trucking theirs. St. Louis, someplace in St. Louis County.
So it may be something at maybe one of their next meetings that you know, the nuts and bolts of that, you know.
I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, I would echo on that. It was a good meeting. They provided a lot of information. I didn't write no notes down, so thank you for remembering that. But the one thing that was very interesting is they had a couple other counties there that aren't even in the first year membership, just to kind of see what it was about. And they made a pretty big deal about, hey, just come and check us out, you know, and if it's something you like, join. If you don't, you know, not a big deal. And some of this, like the Pilt thing, I don't think Pine County has a whole lot of it. Most of our lakes are pretty developed. But some of them, especially north and west, they have a lot of, you know, state or federal water, you know, lakes and that kind of stuff. So it does greatly affect them. But they did say it was something, they knew what the problem was, and they were gonna reach out to our assessor's office, I think, and try to get some stuff figured out. So, but yeah, no, it was good, and they served a decent meal. So that was good too. But legislative conference, I went down for the day. I hadn't been there. It's been probably over 8 years, and the last time I was there, it was kind of I don't know. I wasn't super impressed. That's why I never really went back. But I was told they did a lot different job. I got there a little late in the morning. I did miss the governor talk. But it was, when I first got there, they had the leadership panel from the House of Representatives and the Senate. So they had 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and I was very impressed. From the AMC, Matt Hilgart they asked some pretty tough questions and had their attention, and they answered them really well. I'm very optimistic to see. It seemed like, as far as the leadership goes, they are willing to work together. Now, I don't know if that all gets thrown out the window and they're not in front of,
No.
you know, a bunch of counties, but They didn't, it wasn't just a throw mud at each other type of thing. It was pretty civil. And they seemed like they really wanted to work together. So I don't know, that gave me a little bit of hope. The other thing I was very interested to see was nobody was taking credit for the governor's budget throughout the whole legislative conference, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. Nobody was on his side as far as his budget. We've seen his budget come out. It really puts counties in a bad spot. And everybody's walking away from that. So I don't know, that was hopefully refreshing to see as well. But it was all in all is good. It ended up being a pretty long day. But there was a lot of good information. Roger, do you wanna, or David, do you guys wanna hit on some stuff?
Yeah, I guess I would just echo what Commissioner Moore said. I did get a handout from the General Government Committee on paid family and medical leave and the earned sick and safe time that I had at your place this morning, just to try to help separate them because they're often talked about at the same time. So everyone is probably familiar with FMLA. You know, it's a Family Medical Leave Act that's been around for a long time. In 2023, the state of Minnesota adopted the Paid Family and Medical Leave Act that adds the paid portion to it. So it creates, in essence, what is like an unemployment insurance type setup where everybody pays in 0.88% of salary into the pot. And so the sheet lists some of the requested changes. If you follow the legislature, you probably saw that yesterday there was a proposal to delay it for a year. It's probably unlikely that it gets delayed because that would take agreement between both parties to do. I think AMC is optimistic that some of the changes that are proposed on this sheet could be implemented this year that would make the implementation of the law a little easier and clearer. One of them is just make it clear in statute that the split is 50-50 unless it's otherwise negotiated. Clarify the stacking with the pregnancy and parenting leave. Clarify how elected officials are treated. So if you're an elected, say, county attorney, and you're a salaried employee, how does paid leave work for you? So the law does not create clarity for those folks. And then it also hits everybody. So if you work one day as an election judge, you're covered under the law. And so that seems like it's not the audience that it was intended for. And so I think AMC is hopeful that there can be some tweaks to the law that will get bipartisan support that just make administering it easier. And then the earned sick and safe time is in effect now. It really, for an employer like Pine, we gave people time off, either sick and vacation or PTO. The law did expand the reasons that leave can be used, but it did not necessarily impact the accrual rate. So I just, if you have any questions on those, Jackie is in the room and I'm sure can answer them better than I can.
So, or you want me to?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so part of that legislative conference was not only hearing from AMC, but we did meet. They worked hard at scheduling us with all of our legislators, so we got time with them on, even though they were busy themselves. And so we did meet with Representative Nelson, Representative Dotseth, and Senator Rarick. We had about a half an hour each with those. And of course, part of those were in combination with Carlton. So we heard their particular issues, but it was good to be able to communicate with them what our concerns were, particularly from AMC's standpoint of view. And there were some specific things I thought they So they heard us, and I think they're going to work with us and our needs. I will just touch as well on part of AMC was our policy committee meetings the next day, because I was there for both days. And on the Health and Human Services, we did talk extensively about the SSIS system and the archaicness of that system. And that came up throughout the whole conference. I don't know, it was a big theme, and if I can just kind of weave it back. So actually on that Wednesday, that afternoon, Representative Nelson had a bill that specifically addressed that and that he introduced, that he had been working on for a long time. And it seemed to get bipartisan support. If you watched the hearing, you know, we had plenty of stuff going on that day, so we didn't make it there. But if you watch that hearing, it seemed to be bipartisan support, and it is a big issue for our well, counties in general, and particularly for us and our staffing that spends so much redundant time because that system is so, yeah. So it was good to hear that some of those things that we were talking about, I mean, there was action being taken on those. So that was great. Part of that Health and Human Services Committee meeting, we did have the governor's acting Health and Human Services direct commissioner there. And they had a hard time defending the governor's budget, and they really didn't want to even do that. But they heard loud and clear from the whole AMC committee that, you know, we, you know, and was this, we're going to work with you and we'll see. So I'm optimistic. On the other hand, I would say the sense that we got even the day before with the different legislative branch leaders, there's no extra money to be going around. So don't be expecting to fill our budgets with extra dollars coming from the state. You know, and we're not even talking about the federal government, but at the state level. I think they were saying that in preparation for us to be thinking about that's going to have an impact on our budget. So we gathered that message. So,
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
You know, I think it's easy to push back on the governor's budget. I think the truth in the governor's budget is exactly the point that Roger was making, that nobody's budget is going to be a budget that we are going to rally around this year, right? That whenever the House and the Senate come out with their budgets, they're going to create difficult circumstances for counties. Mm-hmm. And the governor just pushed it, you know, push the cost share primarily into things like waivered services. But there will be pushes no matter whose budget comes out.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, there was a lot of information. It's very good. I will definitely be trying to attend these going forward. I was impressed. And like Roger had said, these meetings with the legislators, we only had 3, but some of the counties had a lot. They were running in between, and it's a mess because the house offices are under construction. So they were down the road in the Continental or Centennial building, which it was funny. We went from one to the other. We just walked right across because it was gorgeous out that day. I'd never really spent a lot of time outside there. It was kind of nice to just walk across and see a lot of the different stuff. I thought we were going to have a little more time. They were doing some tours of the Capitol, but we didn't. In between our stuff, we kind of went to each one. We maybe showed up 15 minutes early, but they were on time and they scheduled their time and gave us that time. And it was nice to spend a little time with Carleton County. They got a lot of issues, and we haven't really spent a lot of time with them lately, or I haven't. So nice to see them guys. And they had 3 or 4. They didn't have all 5, did they? They had 4. Yeah.
Well, they had their economic development person as well.
Yeah. And their administrator as well. So, yeah. But yeah, it was good as always. And, yeah, we'll see what next year.
Mr. Chair, just recognize maybe that Senator Rarick said he did put in to the revisor's office the casino sales tax bill, which would increase Pine County share of the state's share of that revenue source, which would be a good thing for us. And then the state budget forecast is expected out this week, Friday, I believe. And those will be the numbers then that the legislature will be wrestling with to get to.
All right, perfect, thank you. Anybody got any questions on that? Otherwise, it looks like zoning board was canceled, and then Matt, you had another.
Yeah. So this was the first meeting, and it's just a team meeting for the Pine County Hazard Mitigation Plan. But the whole thing is based on the Federal Disaster Mitigation Act. So I just want to put the background in there because this is kind of new to me. You know, I was thinking it was going to be emergency management or something like that. It's not. It is, but it's a different animal. And it was I took 3 full pages of notes, and I know I missed some just trying to keep up because it was just fast paced. But the simple thing is you have to, the federal government says you have to have a plan, and the plan has to be updated every 5 years. And everything has to be listed in your plan. If you have an issue and you want to access FEMA dollars for your, it isn't just an automatic thing. And so this whole plan is going to be based on what our past experiences are. We know we've had 2 big floods in 2012 and 2016 or 14 or was it 14, I think it was, and remember that the DNR had to buy a lot of homes and everything else on the Kettle River, and there's a big money went through there. But anyway, so it's working good, and they do the surveys. So, and another interesting thing was like everything can be every jurisdiction has to have this, even the cities and storm sewers and stuff like that. But like culverts for roads and all that. So if we list a culvert in a road or that needs to be upsized, we just mention that, and where it's washed out before, then if it happens, then you can access dollars for your upsizing of your culverts, because it's so much more expensive. So I went to first meeting, and it's a lot of stuff. I don't have a lot of detail to give you. It's just how it's going to work through meetings, but there's going to be a lot of planning, and there has to be a public input. Once we have one more meeting, then it goes to the public, then the public has to have input into the plan. So I will try to keep you posted on what it is, but it just flows like a standard emergency management thing, but.
All right.
That's all I really have.
Okay.
I don't want to go into details of all that. I'll be here for an hour.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for going to that.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any others meetings? Okay, anything other to come before the board? Okay, we will declare the meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.